Hello and welcome back to my channel. So this is 2 out of 3 in the series of how to count your macros. So today we're going to be talking about the basics of tracking. So we're going to learn the basics of food labels, how to put it into MyFitnessPal, and just kind of how to start tracking. If you haven't seen the first part of this series yet, please go right here and watch that first. It'll really give you some background information on what this video is going to be and how to get started. So basic food labels. So food labels can be super tricky, and a lot of the time they're designed to not trick you, but they're not always the easiest and most straightforward. Especially with junk food, they like to make it look like it's healthier than it is. So the portion sizes are all funny sometimes. It's just not cut and dry. So as an example, I have with me my oatmeal. It's a very good example of how a normal food label is outlined. So your serving size is going to be 1/2 cup of oatmeal. So these macronutrients are for 1/2 cup of oatmeal. So, and it gives you the grams here in case you weigh it in grams instead of using a cup. And it'll tell you about how many servings are in the container. So then you come down here, and for 1/2 cup of oatmeal, your calories are 140. You're gonna have 2.5 grams of fat. Then it gives you a little bit more information, but for the basics of macro tracking, we're just gonna look at fats, carbs, and protein. So it's gonna give you 2.5 grams of fat, 27 grams of carbs, and 5 grams of protein. So for 1/2 cup, those are going to be your numbers. So the really nice thing about MyFitnessPal is it makes it very easy. You just have to scan the barcode and it'll input all of it for you. On very rare occasions, it'll say that it can't find it, and then you just have to, you can search and just look up like Millville rolled oats and it'll pop up. So that's the basics, is you'll look at the serving size, make sure that you pay close attention to the serving size. I've seen too many times where, you know, so Brandon's, my husband, he's picked up a Gatorade. I mean, no one just drinks 1/2 or 1/3 of the Gatorade, you drink the entire thing. But on the back it says, and I think it was Gatorade, I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong. On the back of it, it says serving size, like 8 ounces. Servings per container, 2. So it's a 16-ounce drink. All the macros on the back are just for 1/2 of the drink. I mean, right there, if you drink the whole thing, you're doubling everything that's on the back of it. So it can be kind of confusing if you don't pay attention to the serving size and the macronutrients to get a clear idea of what you're actually getting in. So I'm just gonna show a side-by-side of me logging the oatmeal. So you're going to open your MyFitnessPal. When you open it, it usually shows up onto the home screen. And right there you can have like how many days you've logged in a row. Your total is up at the top of there. If you scroll down, it has, you know, some different recipes, and it has like MyFitnessPal's homepage for like their news information. So you'll hit diary, and that'll give you what you're eating for the day. Up on the top, the calories, I don't pay any attention to those because I count my macros, I don't count calories. So, you know, you have, I've split them up into breakfast, snack 1, lunch, snack 2, dinner, and bedtime meal, because that what works for me. If you want to split them up, you can't do them on the app. I don't think. You have to log on your computer and change them on there, I think. That's how it used to be. So I have them split up into my designated meals for the day, and as you can see, I eat 6 meals a day. If you press the middle button, it can give you your statuses. You can update your status like you're on Facebook. You can make friends on MyFitnessPal, challenge each other to challenges, and it's really nice to be interactive on there. I have a few of my favorite competitors as friends on there, just to kind of see what they put into their meals, because they're also macro counters, so I like to get new ideas for my meals. You can enter your food in there, enter exercises, your weight. I use that weekly so that I can track how I'm doing. Your water intake, which I don't really track. I know I take at least 1 gallon in a day. So what we're gonna do is, say for breakfast, we want this oatmeal. You're gonna hit add food. So up in the top right corner is a little barcode. You're gonna hit that and see my linty leggings. And you're gonna put the oatmeal in front of it, and up will pop your information for it. So as you can see, so as you go down, you can see 25 grams of, or 27 protein, 2.5 fat and 5 grams of protein. Serving size is a half cup. Like we said, you're having 1 serving. But say you want a little bit more that day, you're a little hungrier, you want to devote a little more of your carbs to your breakfast, you just press that serving size and you can change it. So say you want a full cup of oatmeal. Then you can come down and you can get a little bit more information where the carbs are going to, what percentage of them is fiber, what percentage of the fat is saturated or trans. Okay, so say that that's your breakfast. For dinner, if you watch any of my other videos, you know that I love to make my pizza every single night. How would you track something that you're putting together? You know, if it's not a pre-made thing, how are you going to track something that you make? So say that you've already scanned it, you just want to put it in for the next meal, you can type in naan, which is what I use as my base, and it pops up. Serving size is half of a naan. I want 1 serving, and there's the macros. What it will do if it knows that you eat something all the time, I always have my pizza for dinner, it's gonna show you what you frequently pair it with to make it so much easier on yourself to add foods that you have regularly. So yes, I do want the shredded mozzarella. I always put 2 fluid ounces of pasta sauce, my turkey pepperoni, and we're gonna click the check mark, and it'll add all of those for me so that I don't have to worry about finding every single one. My pizza's already in there. If you want to add something super quick, you know, you have the same thing every single day, you've made your meal plan on Sunday and you have it for the week, you can also swipe to add something. So, all right, we have some fiber powder, peppers, ice cream sandwich, level 1, my protein powder, vanilla yogurt, and some tropical fruit yogurt. Not tropical fruit, but it's tropical fruit frozen. If you know that you always have your, you know, these at this time of day, you can just swipe and it'll input it for you so you don't have to worry. So now you've inputted all your food, but how do you know where you are with all the numbers? The easiest way to do it, and if you don't keep your phone on like locked so you can't tilt it and like flip yourself somewhere, is to turn it sideways, and then you can see what everything in your meal, what it's contributing to your overall macronutrients. So fiber powder is mostly carbohydrates. All right, well, we'll start with the oatmeal. So the oatmeal, we're having 54 of our carbs is just going for the oatmeal in the morning. 5 grams of carbs for the oatmeal, 10 protein, and I don't pay attention to my sugar, they're added into my carbs. So protein, you have 10 for that. Then you can go down for snack 1. The entire snack 1 is 39 grams of carbs, 3 grams of fat, and 45 grams of protein. But then you can go into each individual one and see that, let's say the ice cream sandwich, level 1 ice cream sandwich has 5 carbs in it, it's contributing 2 of the 3 fat and 23 of the 45 protein. The Greek yogurt is 15 of the carbs and 15 protein, it has no fat in it. And then if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you have your totals. So right now we're at 130 carbs, 22 fat, and 73 protein. Don't pay attention to the goals underneath there because it doesn't know what you are specifically at, especially if your macronutrients change, if you have a coach that changes them weekly or bi-weekly, whatever it may be. MyFitnessPal doesn't know that, and that's how you can kind of see what all is contributing to it. So I would rather have some carbs later in the day, so all right, my oatmeal is giving me a lot to work with. So maybe you go back in and you're like, all right, I will have 1.5 serving of the oatmeal so that I can then contribute carbs to something else later in the day. You scroll down and you're like, all right, well now I have 15 more carbs to play with that I didn't have earlier. Another way to look at it, which I just don't like it because it's not as quick, but if you don't like having your phone on the like tilt, then you can click more, nutrition, and then it'll show you it in this kind of type of view without having to turn on and off your little tilt thing. So I have 71 grams of protein up there on the top, then 116 carbohydrates, 21 fat, that's what I was looking for. And then you just click back and back to diary, and you can make some changes from there. So I hope that helped you to understand a little bit more about how you can use MyFitnessPal to track your food. Little tips and tricks to find your totals, how to change a serving size, stuff like that. And then the basics of food labels, because there are a lot of tricks to it. A lot of the times bad foods will not want you to understand just how bad they are, so they're gonna make it a little trickier to find out exactly what's in a normal size for them. Oh, it got so bright out. And you also have to pay attention because a lot of the time what you think you're eating is not exactly what a serving size is. So I know with chips, you know, you grab a handful and you call it a day, whereas a lot of the time chips, a serving size is just 18 chips or 21 chips, and that's what the macros on the back are going to tell you, are going to pertain to, is that 18 chips that you're eating. This is where food scale comes in handy. So this is the one that I use. It's very basic. I think I got it at Target a while ago. It's thinking right now. So mine can do grams, ounces. It is so confused right now. Put a plate on, tare it, and then add your food to that so that you can get the accurate amount. You can also change the units. So right now it's in grams, but I can change it to kilograms, ounces, fluid ounces, whatever it is, and then back to grams. So I highly recommend getting a food scale. Like with the oatmeal, getting a half of a cup, just measuring out a half a cup, is going to be different than measuring out the actual gram amount, so 40 grams. It's gonna be a little bit different, and it's not gonna be as exact if you use the measuring cup, so I do highly recommend getting a food scale. It's well worth the money. I've used the same one for like 5 years now. Brandon uses it too. They have very small ones, you can get travel size ones, and it just makes your life a lot easier to be more exact. Of course, if you're not competing or if you're not very serious, you just kind of want to know where you are, you don't need a food scale. You can do it with measuring cups if you don't need to be exact, but I do. So the scale, I need that to get my grams. So like I said in the first one, I hope you tracked all your food for 3 days since the last one came out. Now tonight, if you already have your food diary ready, please go ahead and input everything that you ate for the last 3 days and come up with averages and kind of look and see where are you spending most of the calories of the day. Are you eating a lot of carbohydrates? Are you eating a lot of fats? Are you eating out proteins? Do you maybe need to up your protein intake? Or, you know, maybe you have been dieting for a while now and your carbs are very low. Just kind of see where you are and see what your overall daily calorie intake is as well, and average everything out and get your average numbers. If you've been maintaining your weight on what food you're taking in for the last 3 days, that's probably a good place to start. If you've been gaining weight, you might wanna cut back on a little bit. And if you've been losing weight and that's your goal, then you might wanna stay where you are as far as calories go, but then split up your macronutrients in a better way. So put in what you've eaten for the last 3 days into MyFitnessPal, and over tomorrow and the next day, track everything that you eat those days too, so you have a full 5 days tracked, that you can sense trends, you can see what you're eating, you can kind of get an idea of what's going on. And then on Friday we're going to talk about how to start making a meal plan for yourself. We're going to talk about making recipes, getting creative, how to go out and track, and kind of how to bring everything that we've just learned together so that you can start tracking your macros to guide yourself into your goals. So I know this was a long one, but thank you for sticking with me through it. Please go ahead and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the next video that's coming out that'll wrap everything together. Any comments or questions that you have for me, please leave them down below. I am ready to answer anything that I wasn't really clear on. I know sometimes I explain things and it makes sense to me, but for people who aren't used to it at all, it might be a little bit confusing. So leave any questions down below and I will answer them there. And I will see you in the next video where we talk all about becoming a pro with tracking your macros. Thank you for watching. So we're gonna learn the basics of food. How to put it into something in my eye.